Welcome into the Locky Top Sports Podcast. I'm Josh, joined with the Iceman Frank, and our new and improved guest tonight. He's coming live from somewhere in Texas, deep in the heart of it. Deep in the heart of it, in the Lone Star State, Big Texas. Big Texas, bring it on in for us tonight, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of introduce yourself to our listeners.
Well, you guys might think I look like Naveen, and you're right. Really, I've been living all over Texas. I'm his cousin. I kind of like rescue him from that Northeast blue state territory every once in a while. I heard you live in Texas, Frank. Good choice. That means you're a hardworking American. Josh, you're in Tennessee. I approve. We're like, related states. You helped us out with the fucking Alamo, and I still respect you for that, brother. I think you got the wrong orange on there, brother, but I'm going to let you slide. I'm coming on your podcast for the first time. I'm a good guest. I don't insult my hosts ever, but, I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm ready for the Longhorns to go 13-0. I'm ready for the 12-team playoff. Bring it on, brother.
Hey, Big Texas, real quick. I don't think we caught where you're from again. Can you tell us where you're from?
San Benito, Texas, by way of Bergen County, New Jersey. I was born there with them, them heathen up in New Jersey. But, my parents rescued me, and I thank Jesus for that all the time.
Hey, raise hell, praise Del, baby. I love it, Big Texas. Thanks for coming in tonight. I think this is going to be, really interesting and a lot of fun moving forward. With that, we're going to go ahead and talk about things to look forward to in the NCAA season. Big Texas, I know you kind of alluded to a couple things there with the playoffs and how you guys are ready for that. So let me get your thoughts on things to look forward to.
Number one, Nick Saban is gone. We got to remain calm. We're the only team that consistently beats them. So we're showing you guys the blueprint of how to get it done in the SEC, but I think it's wide open, boys. Georgia was there. The NFL players from Georgia are gone. NIL's king. We don't know what the hell's going to happen, but really we got to stay locked in. I believe that Texas will be in the 12-team playoff. If they're not, I don't know, man. I got a 12 gauge in my car that's looking mighty shiny, brother. If that happens,
Big Texas, I don't mean to cut you off here in your dissertation of what's to come, but I really don't see Texas making a whole lot of noise joining the SEC next year. I've seen a lot of projections with Texas coming in with all these national championships that they won back in the dark era of college football. Nothing real recent. I think. What was the last time you guys won one? Was with Vince Young, 2005?
Yeah, something like 7 years after you, brother. It's weird you're talking all that smack from Tennessee. I don't see your playoff appearances either, brother.
Hey, man,
we just made it. We were right there with Washington.
Okay, well, it's different. There's a big difference in making it and winning. So. I don't think you get a participation trophy for just showing up, but we'll see how it goes, man. The SEC is going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to have the likes of you, Big Texas. Your favorite people down in Oklahoma, the Boomer Sooners, and their crazy wagons and shit. So it's It's going to be a lot of fun, man. Are you guys still going to have Red River this year? You guys going to shoot out down there?
I believe so. I don't like Boomer Sooners at all, and I'd rather not be on the podcast if you guys are going to bring those some bitches up.
Well, you guys decided to join a conference with them.
The
Big 12. You couldn't leave without your best friend there in maroon and white.
I will say they're the only worthy opponent we have in the Big 12. They do their job of showing up. They beat us sometimes. We beat them. That's about it. That's all the credit I'll give them. But I'm curious about you boys.
Well, Frank, yeah, let's get Frank in here. Frank, you're down in the heart of Texas.
Texas has a shot next year. They're not out.
Why don't you talk to me about Texas in relation to Texas A&M, they've been in the conference a lot longer than Texas, and I feel like Texas got a little bit to prove. Texas A&M took a leap of faith to join the SEC, and they're a very hard-nosed and tenured member of the conference. So, Frank, what do you think the Burnt Orange boys are going to do against the Aggies?
Texas is going to smoke Texas A&M, if that's what you're asking. I think the Longhorns, they have a good team, and I think next year, potential national championship for University of Texas.
Wow.
The other team I could see in there that got smoked at the end of the year was Florida State. I can see them being back in there. I can see Florida State coming back in and being a top 12.
Where do you see the Vols?
Maybe 10, 11.
Yeah, okay. I was about to say, you guys know this is a Tennessee podcast. Just throwing it out there, right?
They're on the fringe of top 10, I'll say, for Tennessee.
Fringe.
What do you think? 1, 2, 3, 4, but maybe 9, 10, 11 getting in there,
So what makes you think Tennessee is on the fringe and you think Texas should be, number 1 or 2?
Primarily
Texas, or Big Texas. Big Texas.
I live 10 minutes from the stadium here.
Help him out.
I mean,
Frank, go ahead. Take it, buddy. All I was going to say is really that we got a goddamn stud at quarterback, and then we got a fucking legend.
Have you heard of Nico Iamaleava?
What's that Tennessee quarterback's name again? The famous one. What is it?
Manning?
Manning? Oh, it's Manning.
We got one too. We got one of them too, brother.
Well, I've heard that he's not anywhere close to being as good as his uncle Peyton. So I'm not really worried about Big Arch because I believe in Nico. In Nico, I trust. Okay. So that kind of brings up some interesting dialogue, guys. So when we're looking at the season coming up, we're gonna have some crazy games. So let's kind of talk about how are we planning on watching some of these games this year going into next season, and what's your favorite games to sweat? Do you like sweating like college football, hockey, college basketball? And if you have a like a ritual, like a pregame ritual, do you have a place that you sit in your man cave? Like my man cave, I sit right there. I'm glued in. I have a special, my lucky shirt, my jersey or whatever. And, I always get the same pregame meal. Good old Papa John's. Naveen? Or Big Texas, excuse me. Go ahead.
I don't know who Naveen is, but damn. So what I do is I really like to get in shotgun formation when I watch the TV. I don't sit typically. Sitting is for quitting. You sit when you're down 15 points or you can't cover the spread. You sit during commercials. My sweats, they start at 7 a.m. I'm a degenerate. I like that English Premier League. So my sweat can be from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. the next day, brother. So really comfortable pants, good access to bathrooms, new roll of toilet paper. All those things are what you need, and light food. It's like that Super Bowl party thing we talked about before. It ain't Thanksgiving every Saturday. It's another work day. Got to treat it like that. Put your hard hat on and just be ready. Frank, what do you do down in Austin to get ready for the games, brother?
Start off with a cup of coffee in the morning. You got to scroll through the slate for the whatever you want to bet on.
Are you a cream and sugar guy in that coffee or straight black?
Just whiskey in there.
And
whiskey.
Yeah, Saturday maybe Kahlua for Saturday. Kahlua cream. Something
whipping
like
up a little Texas tea down there. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, for the sweat, I don't like the full day sweat. You're just too tired. If you're sweating 10, 12 hours, you got to pick like a 3-hour window where there's a lot of games and just take all those games in that 3 or 4 hour window. I think that's the right strategy. That way you're refreshed and ready for the next day. If you lose, you can just kind of cut your loss and look at it for tomorrow. And if you win, you feel good. Maybe you keep going, maybe you go 7, 8, 10 hours worth of sweating. But yeah, I like to stick to like a 3-4 hour window of games, especially for hockey, I would say. Basketball is different. I mean, basketball Saturday, I mean, you got 11 a.m. to midnight, So you got to pick and choose. Pick them in the morning and, just see how the day goes. And if you're winning, keep going. For me, if I'm losing, just call it a day. Or pile a game at 4 o'clock.
How about you, Josh? What'd you like to do?
Hey, man, for me, well, honestly, I like to attend a lot of them, whether especially football. I don't get to attend as many basketball games as I'd like, just, life and stuff. But, yeah, man, I like to tailgate, do all that stuff. But if I'm at home, some of the things that I like to do is, like I said, get on my regular spot, eat my ritualistic meal, wear my lucky shirt. Things that really make me sweat, obviously, is when Tennessee plays Florida with a backup quarterback. That has me anxious as fuck every single time. I'm not going to lie. I know that's like a recipe for disaster every time we play the Gators. If they have a backup quarterback, we're going to make them a Heisman Trophy contender early in the year every time we play them. So, yeah, always scares me. Every time we play their starter, though, it's not too bad.
I got one thing to add, brother. I like to give my, if I'm dating a fine lady or something like that, I like to give them one apple picking weekend every 6 weeks just to know that they're still alive. Just got to make sure that they know that they exist. If you make sure you look at your team schedule when you're playing Alabama A&T or something like that, you go ahead and go apple picking. You don't watch the game. You expect to win 52-0. You got to make sure that you're giving your wife or your girl or someone a little bit of a break. And for me, I'm not much of an NFL guy in the 1 p.m. slot, so I'm okay with giving them activities on Sunday early mornings or afternoons as well. You got to make sure you stay solid throughout the NFL season or the football season to stay with your girl.
Well, I'm glad that you brought up girls and making time for them. So I think all of us are definitely going to have to give back to the love bank a little bit more often coming up during this off season, going into the release of College Football 25, the new NCAA football video game that we've all been waiting for since 2014 or 2013, I think exactly was the last time it came out. So we're talking about 10 or 11 years here. I always loved it growing up as a kid, playing it on PlayStation 2, and then obviously in high school and college on PS3 and stuff. Dating myself, telling my age, but it was a lot of fun. I'm glad that EA Sports and the college football playoff committee has figured this out with the onset of NIL and how that's being handled. I think each player is getting $600 because they can opt in, and then they get a free copy of the game. So really cool to see that happening and to have that game back. And it's just like it comes out in late July, so it's like it gets you ready. It gets you through those dog days of summer. You get on the live and play against your buddies and really gets you ready for college football season. Frank, what was one of your favorite memories, and who was your all-time go-to team that you played with on NCAA football?
It's kind of funny that Roman's not here, but it's Michigan. Because honestly, when I grew up, I was a Michigan fan. So, I had the PlayStation 1 back then. I think it was NCAA football, I want to say 99 or 2001 or something like that, back when I was playing. But
who was on the cover? Do you remember who was on that cover?
Man, it might have been Mike Hart, honestly, from Michigan, running back. But man, I can't remember. It was so long ago now. I think about it, but I do think it's cool that these guys are getting paid now to be on the game. It's just like everybody else is getting paid in college. Why not pay the guys to be on a video game? That's something they could have for the rest of their lives. A video game, and they could play with themselves on the game 5-10 years from now. That's kind of cool.
Sick, man.
And these guys, most of them aren't going to get past college. 95% of these guys that play college football, at least, they're not playing pro, So this is their glory days. This is all they got. They're not playing professionally. So I think it's just, I think the video game's kind of cool. Getting paid to be on the game, being on the game itself, getting a copy of the game. Just going to make good memories for all these college football players, 5-10 years from now, when they're probably working at a grocery store or something, wherever they end up. Some of these guys, but
Sure.
it's a cool thing to have for the future.
Yeah, no, I think it's really like you said, it's a cool thing to have the opportunity to be on a video game. I think a lot of kids grow up wishing, and wanting to be on one. For me, growing up, I think my favorite version of NCAA football was like the 2002 version. I think the old Oregon quarterback was on the cover of that one. I can't remember his name. It's escaping me right now, but Miami was like a juggernaut on that game, and I used them when I wasn't using Tennessee. So if I was having to play a buddy that was also a Tennessee fan, my go-to team was the Hurricanes, and I would just destroy everybody with Willis McGahee and that stout defense that the Hurricanes had, and just throw it all over the place with like Ken Dorsey. So it's a lot of fun. Big Texas. What about you, man? You get a lot of time on the sticks coming up with college football?
Yeah, man. The last one I really remember playing with was Deshaun Jackson at Cal. I used to run that bitch all over the field. Nobody could touch me. Of course, going back to Texas, going back to UT, I loved Ricky Williams. I think nobody was allowed to play with 02 Hurricanes in my squad. I think we were about 10 years old at the time. That was like a cheat code. No Nebraska, no Miami, no Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
Want to make sure no Sean Taylor. Want to make sure everybody played throughout the rest of the game. Just for fun though, I like playing as Air Force. I like that triple option.
Yeah, that was fun.
Probably don't like that, but you don't see that in NBA. It's fun. NFL. So it's always good to keep up with that. But I think one thing is the kids of this 10-year span, they were probably robbed of playing with Lamar Jackson. That would have been the greatest NCAA football player of all time to be on the sticks of. Probably since Michael Vick, or maybe even ever, right? Maybe Cam Newton, something, Tebow, something like that. But Lamar Jackson, he was the number one player we missed from not making this game for 10 years. MVP in the NFL right now. But that's cool. And I think, like, dude, I'm gonna buy a console for the first time in 15 years.
You going to Xbox or PS5?
I'm loyal to PlayStation. That's always been my thing. I never fucked with
a PS5.
Yeah,
I still have a PlayStation.
We're PS5. Yeah, bro. PS5.
I never fucked with the Xbox controller. It was a little weird in my hands back then. So.
Yeah, Bill Gates. Don't trust him.
Yeah. Don't get me started on him, brother.
Well, I was setting it up for you there, Big Texas, but we'll move right along. Just keep the flow of the show going. Don't want to go down the vid rabbit hole. All right. So we want to bring this up real quick, since we're talking about NIL, and then how that's turned out kind of favorable. Now with the reemergence of the college football game on PlayStation. Go get that one. Plug for PlayStation. Cut the check. But news today, the state of Virginia and Tennessee, obviously Tennessee spearheaded this, and Virginia went on out into the deep waters of legalese, and we took the NCAA to a federal courthouse about a week and a half ago now, and we won our ruling. Federal judge, your honorable federal judge Corker, ruled on today, sometime this afternoon, right before the 5 o'clock hour here on the East Coast, that the injunction would stand. He ruled in Tennessee and Virginia's favor, and essentially the NCAA can't do shit to UT, their collective, or any of the players that are currently on Tennessee's roster. So basically, Tennessee walked up in the NCAA's house, made themselves a ham sandwich, and dropped the cheese wrapper on the floor and walked out. That's what happened. And you love to see it. Athletes getting paid what they're owed, and the tyrannical reign of the NCAA is hopefully coming to an abrupt end now that we've had, two states take them to federal court, and Justice Kavanaugh had already ruled about players' rights. And we've covered that in podcasts in the past, but I didn't want to, lose the opportunity to take a victory lap for the brand here for the Vols, that we went up against Goliath and we won. So Big Texas, what do you think about, the little man going up against the NCAA and coming out on top?
I normally don't listen to my cousin because of where he's located and stuff. I don't really trust his ideas, the people he's around. But when he was 5 years old, he gave me a CD that changed my life. It was Wu-Tang Clan, Entered the 36 Chambers, and there was one song there called Cash Rules Everything Around Me. Cream. Get the money, dollar bills, y'all. And that's the best thing he's ever told me in his life. And I think that's just what we're seeing here. It's a free market. Cash is around everybody. If you take down one of these schools for doing this, you got to take everybody down systematically. You can't just take down Tennessee and Virginia. And I think, Josh, you said it before, perfect analogy. It's Pandora's box right now. If you look in the box, you're going to find whatever you want to find. So that's my thoughts.
What about you, Frank?
Yeah, I was going to say, once you have a ruling against one school, you got to have them against all the schools, basically. So you can't rule against one school and single them out. You got to rule against every school, and it's a lot of work to do that. So they just kind of cut it off real quick, I think.
Gotcha.
Fair enough. Well, hey, great news there on the NIL front. Like I said, love to see it. And man, I think it's going to make things really exciting moving forward with the way NIL is going to shake out. And, I think we're really going to see who has the deepest pockets in all these schools. So I like to be sitting on the right side of that right now, with Spire Sports being the dominant NIL collective in college athletics right now. And like I said, repping the brand Tennessee, baby. So hopefully we get more players and we start adding to our trophy case that, since we got a little dust sitting on the shelf, like Big Texas alluded to, our last football national championship happened back in '98. So anyway, and Nico, I trust. We move forward to Richard Dell Barnes and his squad, who will be going against the nemesis of Big Texas, Texas A&M, and the Aggies. They'll be coming into the friendly confines of the Tommy Bowl tomorrow night on ESPN, and it'll be a rematch in a game where, when Tennessee went to College Station a couple weeks ago, they got barrel jobbed and shown all 50 states there in the heart of Texas. And it wasn't pretty. We didn't have a lot of people show up. Our bad performance from literally everybody on the floor, except I think Dalton Connect was, scoring at his normal pace, but, he had to take a lot of shots to get there. It was just an ugly game from start to finish. And, would sometimes be cause for concerns, I think, seeing how we got beat. But, Texas A&M has just kind of fell off completely since they beat us, and they've lost to some really terrible teams. I mean, most recently, Arkansas. And we all seen what Tennessee did to Arkansas last week. So I'm not a big transitive properties guy, but, we don't typically lose at home under Rick Barnes. And, you got to feel good about it. I don't know if we're covering 12 points or not, but, we got the Aggies tomorrow night. So, Frank, what do you think? I'm going to go to you first. What do you think the Vols have to do in order to secure the win tomorrow and send A&M home and probably pop their opportunity of being a bubble team?
They just got to play as a team. So I've been starting, I've watched enough Tennessee basketball now, just with you guys, where, if they don't play as a team, it's a pretty tight game, and Tennessee doesn't cover the spread usually. But if they get scoring from 3 or 4 guys, they cover almost every single time. So with Tennessee, that's kind of the key to them winning or them covering the spread in the game, is they need more than Dalton Connect to score. They need, point guard, center. They need, easy buckets under the hoop. They need the layups. They need the 3-pointers. They just need to win by 15, 20, or 30 as opposed to playing a 5-point or less game or losing at halftime. It's if they don't play as a team, they don't really win. They got a good team. Play as a team, you win. Don't play as a team, tight game, maybe you lose or you just don't cover the spread and win a low-scoring game or win by a few points. I think that's the key for Tennessee. They just got to play as a team.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think Tennessee's undefeated when they have 3 or more players scoring double digits. So basically, every time that's happened, there's been 2 of their guards and then either their center or one of the forwards. So, I mean, yeah, you'd probably say, well, no shit. If you got 3 guys scoring double digits, you're in a good spot to win. But undefeated. I mean, like you said, you got to share the wealth. Dalton's going to be double teamed a lot. We got to have some people step up. Especially our senior leaders step up and perform tomorrow night. And I'd like to see more of the same from Jonas and kind of how he played his last couple games. And Toby Awaka had a great game against Missouri. I mean, Missouri was kind of a dud of a game. We won't rehash that as much. But, yeah, man, I think Tennessee is sitting really good going into tomorrow night. I think we should come out with a win. But, Naveen, I don't think there's too much more left on the bone for that one. But I do want to get your takes on kind of where you see Tennessee finishing up in the SEC, especially now that we're almost at the end. I think we have like 4 or 5 games left. And, of course, we got the Crimson Tide, who's still a half game ahead of us in the SEC standings. I think they're going to trip up. They got Kentucky tomorrow night at Rupp. Kentucky, they were embarrassed by LSU on that buzzer beater yesterday. So, hey, man, what do you think Tennessee's going to be sitting at the end of the year, and kind of forecast what you see in the next 2 weeks as we close out the regular season?
Yeah, man, I think for the most part, we just got to make sure that what we see in college basketball is it's really a tale of 2 cities. When you're at home, you're a different team. You look like an NBA team. Tennessee does at least. But when they're away, they're liable to make all these mistakes. Like we saw Mizzou a little bit not being in the game till the latter part of the second half. I think what Frank said is right. But, yeah, just a little bit of what we talked about earlier, like 2-3 weeks ago. Who are we as a team and maintaining our identity on defense. Offense will take care of itself. I think we move the ball well enough to, be self-sufficient. But it's just easier to play offense when we have a game like we did at Vandy, where we pass the ball around and score a bunch from every position. To answer your question, we will finish first in the SEC, but I believe that the tournament will fuck us a little bit by putting us at a 2 seed. We need to take care of business against Alabama and Auburn and Kentucky again coming up. But I think, South Carolina has now been exposed. We know the blueprint for how to beat them.
Frauds. Yeah.
Frauds. I mean, credit to them. They did beat, you guys pretty well. But really what you got to think about here is maintaining defensive pressure, rebounding, and sharing that rock.
Yeah, no, I agree. The only thing other than a Vol win tomorrow night I want to see is if A&M's coach goes back out on the court tomorrow night, that someone just mows his ass over. I think that would make my night. And I think everybody there with you on the Big Texas side of things would love to see that too, right?
Yes, sir. We got a big game. We got a big game in Kansas, man.
I was about to say, I'm Jayhawks, man.
Game. Frank, you going to go to the game or what? I know it's in Kansas. That is a big drive, but,
Short drive. It's only like 7 hours, I think.
Only 12 hours, man. I do that in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
You wake up 4 o'clock in the morning, you pregame on the road. You be there by lunchtime. You're ready to go.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to it. This is really the nice part of the season before you have your conference tournaments. Last chances to see your seniors play. You really got to show respect to them if you're a true fan. Frank, I know you're going to be making a drive either, to the stadium or, at least to Moody Center to watch the game or something. at some point this year, maybe not going all the way to Kansas, but maybe you get a game in. But it's important to support your team, man.
Yeah. I'm with
Yeah.
you.
Hey,
Love
I
watching
hope that
Texas basketball, man.
Yeah, I hope Texas goes and does everybody a favor and puts the Jayhawks out of their misery tomorrow, and then kind of lead us into the next one. Yeah, not only can the Longhorns freeze out Kansas's drive to the dance, but we'll go ahead and let Frank put it on ice for us. Mr. Iceman himself, Val Kilmer in the house. Go ahead and talk to me, Goose, and tell me what the big picks are this week on the ice side of things.
So I'm going to start with or just go with the Saturday picks. So these games are both on Saturday. One of them is the New York Rangers. The New York Rangers have been the hottest team in the NHL the past 2 weeks. They've won 9 games in a row. It's similar to, what the Oilers were doing before the All-Star break. They're just destroying teams. I mean, they won 5-1 yesterday. The goal happened with 2 minutes left in the game. So they're winning 5-0 yesterday. They're just demoralizing teams. When it comes to the NHL, basically the way you pick it is when a team has won 5 games in a row, you just take them every single game until they lose. That's what I always do, So basically 5 wins in a row now for me betting Rangers. You just kind of keep taking it until you say otherwise. Both of their goalies have really stepped up. So Igor Shesterkin, he was playing pretty piss poor hockey as a goalie. Watching him yesterday, the game should have been a shutout. I mean, he demoralized the Devils. The Devils had almost 15 minutes on the power play. They had a 5-minute major penalty to start the game
Holy
off.
shit. A
So
15-minute power play?
15 minutes worth of power plays throughout the game.
Oh, okay.
In a 60-minute game. And they gave up 0 goals. 0.
Wow.
0 goals on like 7 power plays. Rangers, they're locked in. I would never bet against the Rangers right now. They are going to be right now the favorite to win the cup. If they keep playing like this, they're a dangerous team. They're just beating the hell out of teams. So Rangers tomorrow. I think money line's good. I think 1.5 is good also. Mix it in, different bets, parlays. But money line is going to be something that's going to be probably my biggest bet of the day tomorrow. The other one is going to be New Jersey Devils over 6.5. So the Rangers just played the Devils, so I'm pretty fresh on watching the Devils hockey. Devils are really not that great of a team. The one thing they have that is a huge weakness, they don't have a goalie. Their goalie, their backup goalie, these guys are horrible. I mean, literally, I was watching the game yesterday, Rangers versus Devils, just a weak little shot into the guy's pads. He just kicks it to somebody and he scores, little shot from the point. He has a clear look at it. He just missed it. The goalie just straight up missed the shot. So I like the over in this game primarily because, the Devils tomorrow, they're playing the Canadiens. Canadiens goalie is terrible too. You got a team with 2 really bad goalies going at it that both give up a lot of penalties. So what you see in those games when 2 teams have bad goalies, and even if the teams are both average or above average, is like 8 or 9 goals usually. 5-4, I think this game is. That's kind of how I see it. Devils, Canadiens. I just see like an overtime game. Genuinely 3-3, 4-3, 4-4, 5-4. It's just not going to be 2-1 ever. The goalies suck too much. They're going to let goals in. It's probably going to be 2-1 in the first period. If I was guessing, I'd say probably 2-1 Devils first period. Game ends 5-4, something like that. So those are my top 2 picks for tomorrow, for Saturday. I don't think you're really going to sweat either game. I think the Rangers are going to go up 2-0 pretty quick. Devils Canadiens going to be like a 3-goal first period where the over hits at the end of the second period or early third period, tied 3-3. It's just going to get there. yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at for NHL for the weekend. And I think keep betting the Rangers until they lose, basically.
All right, man. Well, you heard it from Frank, the Iceman himself. Sounds like the Devils are going to be making some Canadian bacon tomorrow. So go Devils. All right. So then we're going to get transition to our best pets for the weekend. Me and Big Texas. We're going to go over some college basketball picks. For me, I'm taking Texas +7. I think they're gonna go up and do some good stuff against the Jayhawks tomorrow, kind of like we talked about before Frank's segment there. Villanova +12.5. They covered the last time against UConn, and UConn lost against Creighton the other night. So I think they're on the ropes. They're reeling a little bit. Might be a good opportunity to maybe, if we get another upset here by Villanova, maybe even knock UConn off that one line. I'd love to see it. I think they kind of get a favorable schedule. UConn does, so they're not really as wore out when the tournament comes around, because they play in a weaker conference than the likes of the folks in the SEC and the Big 12. But anyway, so 12.5 on Villanova, and then I'm taking Kentucky. There's no line out on that one, but I think, go Kentucky at Rupp over the Crimson Tide of Alabama to go ahead and drop the hammer on them like that dude did the elbow on the Gators player the other night from Alabama. So I hate Nate Oates. I hate his team. I hope they all die in a fiery bus crash on the way to Kentucky. I'm joking. We can edit that out later. But go Cats tomorrow. It makes me almost want to vomit to say that, because I hate Kentucky almost as much. But come out of the coal mines, support the boys tomorrow, and beat Bama. Big Texas, what you got, big dog?
Yeah, first of all, boys, I want to thank you for letting me on your podcast. My wife doesn't let me get out as much, so this is my only opportunity to talk with you boys. I'm going to give you boys 2 locks. Syracuse Orange, -8.5. They're missing a 1 in there. It should be 18.5, boys. First half, full game, however you want it. Second half, first 6 minutes, it doesn't matter. It's Syracuse all day. And we got Arizona. Late night game. These are the ones that you bet when your girl's asleep and you get to yell finally throughout the night. These are my favorite games. I love betting Nevada, San Francisco, Hawaii at 12, because the little lady's asleep, so you get to be your true self when you watch. This is one of those games. Arizona -14.5. I'm also going to be taking the first half there. I know my cousin Naveen, he likes to bet like 19 games a day. I'm a little bit reformed compared to him, so I just keep it to 2 today. I know it was a little bit of a shorter episode. We didn't have the full roster for you boys, but I think we hit a bunch of different stuff, and y'all got to meet me. I got to meet you. It was a great time. For Josh and for Frank, my boy from Texas, lock your top out. Go Vols. Hook 'em.
Go Vols, baby.